Hey, I just wanted to pop on here for just a minute because I have something on my mind that I can't quit thinking about, and I don't have a working computer right now, so uh, I can't type all my thoughts out and share them. So I thought I would just make a little video. I've been thinking about Zaccheus for a little over a week now. I woke up one morning and right in between like that waking up sleep and right when you're waking up and you're halfway asleep and half awake, I heard, today salvation has come to this house. And so I went and looked that phrase up, and it was in the story of Zacchaeus. And so I just started reading that story. And I want to read a little bit. Well, I probably can read all of it to you. It's really short. And then I want to talk about a few things. It says, it's in Luke 19. He entered Jericho and was passing through. There was a man named Zaccheus who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but he was not able because of the crowd, since he was a short man. So running ahead, he climbed up a sycamore tree to see Jesus, since he was about to pass that way. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, because today I must stay at your house. So he quickly came down and welcomed him joyfully. All who saw it began to complain, he's gone to lodge with a sinful man. But Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, look, I'll give half my possessions to the poor, Lord, and if I have extorted anything from anyone, I'll pay back 4 times as much. Today salvation has come to this house, Jesus told him, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save the lost. A couple things. Jesus was in Jericho, and this happened within a very short time, I believe, of him going to the cross, because Jericho was the place of the last miracle that took place. Is where he healed the blind man Bartimaeus. He was in Jericho, I believe. And there was one other person who could potentially have been healed, but that's kind of another post. So he was in Jericho, and Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector. He was the head of tax collectors. So he probably had people under him that he trained to be cheats. He was the chief of thieves. He was a thief. He stole from people. And so, but when he heard about Jesus and he heard that Jesus was coming, he wanted to see him. And so he climbed a sycamore tree. And we all know that song from when we were little kids, I'm not going to sing it. But Zacchaeus was a wee little man. I don't know if everybody's heard that, but I sing it to my kids, and it's a good way to teach that story to them. And it says he climbed a sycamore tree. Well, other translations say that he climbed a fig tree. And if you know, throughout the scriptures, figs often represent the law. Adam and Eve covered themselves with fig leaves. Jesus cursed a fig tree. And so Zacchaeus climbed a fig tree, and I believe that this is a picture of the law in Zacchaeus' life. He climbed that fig tree so he could see Jesus. Now, I think that he already heard some stuff about Jesus, and that's why he wanted to see him, and that's why his heart was already open, and he was having joy in this situation. So it says, so he quickly came down and welcomed him joyfully. I think another translation said he was excited. He was excited to see Jesus. And so I want to be excited. I want to be excited to see Jesus. I think that whenever we're excited to see Jesus, we have the right perspective and the right mentality about Jesus. So Jesus says that he tells him, come down, because I'm going to go to your house. And so I'm sure that made him like super happy already, because he already had that joy going on. And so when he gets to his house, he tells the Lord, he's like, I'm going to give half my possessions to the poor. And he said, I will pay back 4 times anything I have stolen. And Jesus says, today salvation has come to this house. Now, I don't think that what Zacchaeus did brought the salvation. Jesus is the salvation. Whenever Jesus came to his house, he brought salvation. And because Zacchaeus had the right perspective, he was able to receive that from Jesus. He had the right perspective of Jesus, and the right perspective of Jesus and his faith in the grace of God and what Jesus was bringing to him is what caused his heart to change and what caused him to give back. It wasn't his actions, it wasn't him doing that, giving the money back to the poor and everything he's stolen. That didn't bring salvation. It was his faith in Jesus. And his faith in Jesus is what produced that right behavior through the grace of God. 1 John says that we love him because he first loved us. 1 John 4:16, I think it is, or 18. Yeah. And so it says that we love him because he first loved us. And that's what we see here in the life of Zacchaeus. He already had an idea about Jesus. He had already heard about Jesus. His heart was already open to Jesus. He was excited. And so when Jesus came to him, that's what prompted the action. That's what prompts it in our hearts. Whenever we have the correct perspective about Jesus and know who Jesus really is and know who we are in relationship to him, that will prompt the salvation. That will prompt an act on our part after we already receive it, after we're already clean. And so a lot of people, they try to produce that before they have any concept of Jesus in their hearts. They try to do good things or do right things to get accepted by God. And that's not what happened in this story at all. And that's not what the Lord wants for us. The Lord wants us to have a revelation of our heart, in our hearts of him. And then that will produce good works. Okay. And then he says, because he too is a son of Abraham. Abraham was a person of faith. Abraham was never under the law. Abraham was always a person of grace. God always had grace for Abraham. And that's what Jesus brought to Zacchaeus. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save the lost. And that's what he's continuing to do now. He is still seeking and saving the lost. I hope that this has blessed you today. I just felt like I needed to share this, and it was in my heart to share this with you guys today. So I hope it's ministered to somebody, and I hope you have a happy Easter. God bless.